And do you think then, Majid, that some of these wealthy Gulf countries who face their own budgetary concerns now might not be so willing to help?
So the fiscal support across the region has been around 3%, so slightly higher than emerging markets overall and close to developed countries. But there's been a lot of variation, as we've just heard. So the IMF only this week reported that $226 billion would be the fall in oil export revenues across the region. And it's not that the cost of production is a challenge. It's the lowest in the world and often below $10 a barrel. So it's not that the oil industry isn't generating revenues, which might be a challenge, for example, for shale oil in the US. It's that government budgets require somewhere between $40 and $80 to $90 a barrel just to balance. So all of them are running deficits, and all countries across the region are expected to post recessions this year.
So, Majid, is there anything that oil exporters can do to shield themselves from this?
So I think you've seen different responses among the oil exporters. You've got to differentiate with those that have savings, if you like, financial immunity, ability to respond. Here in the UAE, there was very early closing of schools, fiscal support, banking support. And as we've heard, the mortality rate has been very low, very high testing, incidentally, the highest per capita, I think, in the world. Over 10% of the population has been tested, and there have been no shortages of testing or PPE equipment or food or medicines. But if you turn to countries like Iraq or Algeria or Libya, some of whom have conflicts still raging, no savings to support the response, then you have a problem. In Iraq, for example, it was earning, before the oil price crash, about $5 billion a month from oil. It's got $4 billion a month of just the public sector payroll, and now its revenues are down to $2 billion. So it's running a deficit monthly just on paying salaries. So that is a different set of challenges for those oil exporters. For oil importers, there have been savings in terms of the price of oil, but as we've just heard, they also depend on remittances and support from the oil countries, and they're part of the regional economy. So they are all expected to have recessions this year, though not quite as bad as the oil exporters.
Mike, could all of this affect the balance of power in the Middle East?